Northeast.
Oh my God, the tree! Look at the tree! It's gonna fall down.
Sending families running for cover. A lightning strike hit this tree, sending it toward a tent full of kids. And now another round of severe storms is moving in. Ginger tracking the latest.
Also this morning, recession and re-election. President Trump insisting he has no concerns about the economy after that 800-point plunge as his 2020 opponents fire back, saying the president is terrible for business.
Two mass shooting plots stopped just in time. The 20-year-old now in custody, accused of threatening a rampage, his link to that rally in Charlottesville, and the 25-year-old in Florida making threats, the new concern about copycats, the country on edge.
The palace protests after this new footage emerges. Prince Andrew now in the spotlight. New questions about his friendship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. What the royals are saying this morning.
Cruise ship rescue, the quick-thinking heroes jumping in to save this woman when her wheelchair rolls into the water.
And shark scare, the close encounter with a 14-foot hammerhead off the coast of Florida, and the 9-year-old girl attacked in knee-deep water.
There's 3 marks back here that are that torn through the teeth, and then just a couple, 2 rows of teeth.
What she did to survive.
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, America, and welcome to a new week.
And it was a very loud night last night. Did you guys hear that? It was a wet and very wild weekend for a lot of people. Severe storms hitting the Midwest all the way right here to the Northeast, bringing dangerous winds, rain, and flash flooding.
We're getting those alerts on our phone all through the early evening.
Kept going off all night. And that threat, unfortunately, is not over. Gio Benitez starts us off in Pennsylvania, where that lightning strike sent a tree crashing into a tent full of people, severely injuring some of them. Good morning, Gio.
Yes, Cecilia, good morning to you. It was just after 5 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon at this popular swim club when lightning struck, causing havoc and serious injuries. A summer day at this Pennsylvania swim club taking a sudden and severe turn.
Traumatic injuries off in the swim club. Mass casualty incident.
Lightning striking this tree, sending it falling onto a tent. 2 adults and 7 children injured.
There was 3 serious injuries and the rest were minor. The back injury and 2 head injuries.
This dangerous end to a summer Sunday coming after a weekend of wild weather across the country. North of Pittsburgh, these patrons taking cover after a microburst tore through this outdoor brewery, trees and power lines swinging violently. Firefighters working around the clock.
This is one of the worst I've ever seen. We're just glad there was no casualties.
The storms leaving thousands without power. In Kansas, a lightning-packed storm, a strike causing this house fire in Overland Park, and winds of more than 70 miles per hour to blame for derailing dozens of cars on this train in Walton. In South Carolina, this man nearly struck by lightning, speaking out this morning about his close call.
All of a sudden, I hear this loud boom and crack. Seemed like a little flashing. Umbrella jumped out my hand, and it scared the heck out of me.
Tree after tree captured on camera toppling over. This one on a car and this one on a mobile home. One person seriously hurt. In Durham, heavy rains causing a 50-car pileup. And back here near Philadelphia, we can tell you that cleanup begins later today, and all of those people are still recovering from those injuries. But no doubt, Amy, the good news here is that all of them survived.
Yeah, that is good news indeed, Gio. Thank you so much. And unfortunately, that wicked weather is not over yet. Ginger is here with the latest on that. Ginger, good morning.
Good morning to you, Amy. I know you said you heard it, but did you see it? This was just Manhattan here in New York City, where you have that torrential rain. You had winds gusting at least 50 miles per hour. Outside of the city, just across the river in New Jersey, Lyndhurst had up to 1-inch hail. So here's my warning. It could happen again today, and you're going to see strong storms develop after 4 o'clock or so, not just here in New York City and Philadelphia, possibility there, but up through Boston through the early evening hours. Then you look toward tomorrow, and then we're going to bring back that yellow color. You've got Des Moines, Omaha, over to St. Louis that'll watch for those through the day early on in the northern part here. This is kind of noon to 4-ish, and then 4 on. on after you get south. So quite a bit to watch for. And in case you're wanting some cooler weather, that's the front that's going to bring down to the 70s by the end of the week, George.
That sounds pretty good. Okay, Ginger, thanks very much. We're going to go to the White House now, where President Trump and his economic team are trying to tamp down talk of a possible recession after a volatile week on Wall Street and an escalating trade war with China. The Democrats trying to take down Trump also seizing the moment, and ABC's Terry Moran is tracking it all from the White House. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, George. As you know, presidents get the credit when the economy's good. They get the blame when the economy's bad. And right now, with some signs of economic weakness and the markets growing anxious, President Trump is playing defense. President Trump, ramping up his New Jersey vacation, returned to the White House facing a stark question. Is his trade war with China tanking the U.S. economy?
I don't see a recession. I mean, the world is in a recession right now. And although that's too big a statement, but if you look at China, China's doing very, very poorly.
But this is a critical moment for the president. Last week, markets reeled, the Dow plunging 800 points in one day, then rallied. All the turbulence linked in part to Trump's trade war. He keeps insisting the U.S. is winning.
China is paying for the tariffs for the 100th time. And I understand tariffs very well. Other countries, it may be that if I do things with other countries, but in the case of China, China is eating the tariffs.
But most economists disagree, arguing that Americans are taking most of the hit from President Trump's tariffs. So the White House strategy now, shift the blame for any slowdown to the Fed.
The Federal Reserve's precipitous interest rate hikes actually cost us a full point of growth.
For Trump, the political stakes couldn't be higher. His campaign's main argument is how well he's managed the economy.
You have no choice but to vote for me because your 401ks, down the tubes, everything's going to be down the tubes.
But with more signs pointing to economic weakness, Democrats now sense the president may be vulnerable on his signature issue.
We got to replace him in office if we're going to get this economy back on track.
Pretty much nothing the Trump administration says turns out to be true. So if they're saying the economy's in great shape, I would be very, very worried.
Now, it's important to note there's still plenty of good news on the economy. It's still growing. It's producing jobs. Consumers are spending. But politically, for President Trump, this is the whole ball game. And so any clouds on the horizon are worrisome for him and his campaign.
No question about that, Terry. Meantime, the president continues to push this curious idea that he might want to buy on behalf of the United States, Greenland, but that massive island clearly not for sale.
Well, that's right. As one of the New York headlines said, you know, Greenland to the fjord to President Trump dropped dead. It's not going to happen, but he's not the first president to try it. President Truman and President Eisenhower sought to acquire Greenland. It's crucial strategically, got a lot of important minerals up there, and it's, for President Trump, as he said, just another big real estate deal. George?
Tara Moran, thanks very much. Amy?
George, now to those two new arrests raising concerns about mass shootings. A 20-year-old in Ohio and a 25-year-old in Florida, now both in custody, accused of plotting separate attacks. Alex Perez has the very latest. Good morning, Alex.
Hey, good morning, Amy. Authorities are crediting a social media post with helping them track down that suspect in Ohio. They said he had semi-automatic rifles and bulletproof armor ready to go. This morning, James Reardon Jr., seen grinning in his mugshots, arrested for allegedly threatening a mass shooting at this Ohio Jewish community center. Police say the 20-year-old posted this disturbing video online. Firing a semi-automatic weapon, sirens blaring in the background, with the caption reading, "Police identifying the Youngstown Jewish family community shooter as local white nationalist."
That kicked off an intense investigation, a very rapidly evolving investigation.
Police also claiming he attended the deadly 2017 Charlottesville Unite the Right rally he's seen here on National Geographic. The FBI raiding his house, where they say they found a large collection of semi-automatic rifles, dozens of rounds of ammunition, a gas mask, and bulletproof armor. He was taken into custody soon after on local harassment and aggravated menacing charges. His arrest coming the same day as this dramatic arrest in Florida, recorded on body cam video.
Do you have any weapons we need to know about?
Tristan Wicks of Daytona Beach, Florida, taken into custody after he allegedly sent a series of text messages threatening a mass shooting.
He talks about how he wants to die in his text messages, and when he dies, he wants to kill 100 people, and at least 100 people, and have fun doing it.
Police say an ex-girlfriend alerted them to the text. In one, the 25-year-old allegedly writing he wanted to break a world record for longest confirmed kill ever. These two arrests are just the latest close calls in the wake of the deadly shootings in El Paso and Dayton. The FBI warning of possible copycat attacks. And Reardon is being held on a $250,000 bond. He's scheduled to be arraigned in court later today. Cecilia?
Okay, Alex, thank you. Overseas this morning, there are growing concerns about ISIS in Afghanistan and what the impending U.S. troop withdrawal there will mean. It comes after a devastating attack at a wedding that killed more than 60 people, injuring nearly 200 others. The Islamic State is claiming responsibility for that suicide bombing in Kabul, the deadliest ISIS attack in the capital this year. The U.S. diplomat negotiating with the Taliban now says talks need to move faster to strike a deal and end America's longest war, now nearly 18 years long. And turning now to those massive pro-democracy demonstrations in Hong Kong, organizers say at least 1.7 million people came out in force on Sunday as tensions there rise with China. Ian Pannell is on the ground there in Hong Kong with the very latest. Good morning, Ian.
Yeah, good morning, Cecilia. Extraordinary scenes here as hundreds of thousands defied the torrential rain, threats from China and a police ban by marching on the streets. We saw young and old, rich and poor, umbrellas that have long been a symbol of protest here held high. Organisers say there were over 1.5 million on the streets, and if that's true, that's a quarter of the city's entire population. Even more remarkable then that it was entirely peaceful. No repeat of the violence was seen recently, and riot police who've attacked crowds before mostly stayed in their stations. Also, the Chinese who released this ominous video over the weekend never left their positions despite threats from Beijing.
Yeah, Ian, you've been on the ground there all weekend, right in the middle of it. What are these protesters telling you about how long they plan to keep going?
You know, Cecilia, their slogan is, it's now or never, and that's because they've been here before and it didn't work. And what I'm hearing repeatedly is they won't stop until their demands centred on justice and democracy are met. And this gives Beijing a real dilemma, because if it backs down, it sets a dangerous precedent, and if it intervenes violently, then President Trump now saying it'd be hard to do a trade deal. And just look at this skyline behind me, because you've got Bank of America right there and the Chinese People's Liberation Army almost next door. This is one of the world's leading financial centres, and if those troops came out, it would be hard to continue business as usual for America, China, or indeed the global economy. Cecilia?
A lot on the line there. Okay, Ian, thank you.
Such a critical moment right there. We're going to turn now, though, to new questions about the NFL's partnership with Jay-Z, as Colin Kaepernick responds to Jay-Z's contention that the NFL has moved past kneeling. Eva Pilgrim here with the latest on that controversy. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, guys. Jay-Z is hearing it this morning. Some calling him out for flip-flopping, once taking a stand against the NFL, now striking a deal with them.
Former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick seeming to throw shade at the biggest name in hip-hop after Jay-Z's recent press conference with the NFL.
I think we've passed kneeling. I think it's time to go into actionable items.
Kaepernick, who sparked controversy for taking a knee during the national anthem, hoping, he says, to draw attention to police brutality and racial injustice, pointing out players who continue to kneel in protest. Writing on Instagram, they have never moved past the people and continue to put their beliefs into action. Stay strong, brothers. Jay-Z's entertainment company Rock Nation inking a new deal to make the rap superstar the league's live music entertainment strategist. The partnership allowing him a role in producing and selecting acts for NFL events, including this year's halftime show, as well as contributing to the league's activism arm.
Colin's whole thing was to bring attention to social injustice, correct? So in that case, right, this is a success, right? This is the next thing.
The hip-hop mogul was once one of the biggest names supporting the protests. Just last year, Jay-Z boasted about not needing the NFL.
I said no to the Super Bowl. You need me, I don't need you.
And even reportedly tried to talk rapper Travis Scott out of performing at the championship earlier this year.
So Jay-Z, to be clear, says he isn't telling people not to kneel if that's what they think is best. He took a lot of questions about this when they made the announcement. He says he's an action person, and going on, he says, we hear you. What's next?
Well, that's the big question, right? I mean, he raised so many eyebrows with this announcement, but nobody has a firm idea on what exactly he's going to do in this partnership.
At this point, we all have to wait and watch and see what Jay-Z plans.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Eva. We're going to turn now to that cruise ship rescue. 2 heroes jumping in to save a woman in a wheelchair when she fell into the water. They are now telling their story. Kaylee Hartung is here with more on this. Good morning, Kaylee.
Yeah, good morning, Cecilia. Quick action by these 2 local men in the Virgin Islands. Not a second to waste when they saw a young girl in trouble, sinking in the water, still strapped into her wheelchair. This morning, we're hearing from both of the heroes from this dramatic rescue on board a cruise ship in St. Thomas. After a passenger in a wheelchair rolled off the dock, watch as she grips a life ring as they work to keep her from going underwater.
I heard a lot of commotion, a lot of screaming, and I see everybody looking over the dock. And I looked over the water, and I see the young lady.
Randolph Donovan was there on his day off before he heard the screams.
That moment, I didn't think twice. I just jumped right in the water and tried to get her out the wheelchair, because at the same time, the wheelchair was sinking down.
As Donovan himself became fatigued, Kashif Hamilton then jumping in to help.
I was out of breath, and he was telling me, come to him, to swim to him. And I tell him I can't swim to him. I can't go no more. I cannot go no more.
Once I saw that look in his face, and he's telling me he can't go no more, like, all right, I gotta jump in.
Let him sit down.
Now this morning, the 2 men being hailed as heroes. The commissioner for the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism saying, thanks to them, a young visitor's life was saved. We're proud of you. Well done. A spokeswoman for Carnival Cruise Line says the girl was not injured by the ordeal. They provided her with a complimentary replacement wheelchair for the rest of her trip.
Wow.
Thank goodness for those heroes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, Kaylee.
Thank you. This morning, Buckingham Palace is now responding to accusations involving Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein. As we see some new video, it's raising questions about the prince's involvement with the convicted sex offender.
And take a look at this. We've got some new footage showing race car legend Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his family. You can see him escaping that burning plane. We'll have the latest on the investigation.
Wow. And then this just in, a secret wedding for Dwayne Johnson. Can't wait to hear all of those details. But first, let's get back to Ginger, because there is some dangerous heat from the plains to the northeast.
Yes, I mean, all the way from Oklahoma City, which is where we begin. Our video here showing that cloud-to-cloud stunning capture of lightning. They are today in an excessive heat warning. Should feel somewhere around 106 there. But you look at the Northeast too, and anywhere from, again, Dallas to Shreveport, Little Rock to Memphis, we've got heat advisories that make their way here. Baltimore broke a record yesterday. I think we could see close at Reagan today. It'll feel like 99 in Philadelphia. Boston even under that heat advisory, going for 95 for a high. Remember, I told you, this all starts to break by the end of the week. My husband keeps saying, oh, it feels like fall. I'm so happy. Don't feel like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for it. I don't know about y'all, but all right, let's go ahead and get your local weather in 30 seconds. First, though, the Select Cities, sponsored by Pronamel.
What patients don't realize is what they eat and drink is likely acidic, and then what's happening is the weakening of enamel. Now is the perfect time for a toothpaste like the new Pronamel Repair. This toothpaste takes it to the next level. It takes minerals and it drives it deep into the tooth surface so that we can actively help repair weakened enamel. I do think dentists are going to want to recommend the new Pronamel Repair toothpaste. Such an easy answer, and it will do exactly what their patients need.
I'm ABC 7's Steve Rudin as we move through the afternoon hours. Dress for comfort, stay well hydrated. High temperatures will be in the middle to upper 90s with feels-like temperatures that are going to be closer to 100 to 104 degrees, especially come 2, 3, 4 o'clock, and that will slowly fall and maybe fall a little bit faster if we see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms. Stay weather alert this afternoon for hot temperatures and scattered storms. Temperatures well above average for this time of year.
It's Monday, so I feel like we all need a little smile to start our day. How about when you don't want to go outside because the ground is wet?
Nobody wants to get your feet wet. Come on.
All the puppies are saying, nuh-uh, I am not going there. This video was taken in West Virginia. Look, I love the head on the other puppy. And then we thought, why not one more? Because if you've got a nosy neighbor, you know who this is. That's a little hummingbird coming up to the camera there and just checking it out.
I thought that was so sweet.
Cute. See? Is everybody smiling? Did it work?
I'm smiling. Thank you, Ginger.
You're welcome.
That'll get me through the heat of the day today. Thank you, Ginger. All right, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
See, smiles.
I'm down 3 coaches, but I have a solution for cross country.
I had one girl show up and she's got asthma.
One runner matters.
For someone who knows the Lord, you're acting like somebody who doesn't.
You give some